Welcome to the Real Board Loft. I'm Trip Foreman, and this is the Chilli Surfboard's Pina Colada. Pina Colada, easiest way to describe this board is it is a high-performance, fishy type of a surfboard. This was one of the three Chillis that I took down to El Salvador, staying at Las Flores Surf Resort this summer, and rode it a lot at the beginning of the trip, and then at the end of the trip as well. We went down there on a surgical strike for a real good swell, and got there, and it was maybe kind of waist to stomach for a full day, and then at the end of the trip, it was waist to chest for a full day. And those are the two full days that I got a chance to really dial this board in and have a blast on it. This board is it's got a lot of different things going on about it. As you can see, it's a wider board with a good amount of outline curve, and then it goes to a like a twin fin inspired winger right here that gets pulled into a, as they like to say, a teeny tiny swallowtail out the back. And what that does is it gives you the width of the board in the nose and the width of the board in the center of the board for paddling and for planing, but having the and gliding across flat spots, but having that winger right here and the smaller tail, this gives you a break point in the outline and allows the board to give you a good pivot in the pocket, and then this gives you a lot more control when the waves get, like when the set waves start rolling through. So the rock around the board is relatively flat, although it does have curve, throughout the whole board. Single concave going into a very, very shallow double to V out the back. And the other thing to look at on this board is because when we looked at the Cherry Peppa from Chilli, it had a flatter deck and a fuller rail. This has a little bit more pull down rail and a little bit more deck curve to it. So when you're looking at the thicknesses on the board, you're going to see a higher thickness number than a Cherry Peppa, but the rail's actually going to be thinner in your hand. And so what that does is it gives you the ability to use that width for stability and for grovel, power, and for planing and gliding. But then when you get going real fast, it gives you the ability to still be able to sink the rail into the water. So what it did, as far as like what the sensations on the wave were, is that this board, it paddles really easily, gets into waves really nicely, and has a lot of glide down the line. This curvier outline is really nice for just drawing, like linking all your turns together, getting a good flow on the wave. But having that thinner rail is nice when those set waves came through. Chilli recommends riding this board pretty generous actually when they say this, because you don't see a lot of companies saying this. They say ride it 3 to 4 liters bigger than your standard shortboard, which normally people are afraid to go bigger than a liter or two bigger, and that's about where this board is for me. This board right here, this is 6'2", so this is one of their bigger ones, and this is like 43 plus. And what I found about that board is that even at that bigger size, like having that pinched rail, it still felt really good as far as being able to get the rail engaged in the wave. A lot of times if you go to that big of a jump, you start feeling, the board starts just feeling boaty and like kind of skippy on the wave, where this thing still goes super fast and engages on the wave. And then it just made it, especially at the end of the trip after we had to surf from sun up into sundown for like 5 days straight. At the end of the trip, having that extra foam was really nice for when those set waves came. I'd also love to try it like at my volume. I'd love to try it like at the next step down, which this board is like right around 40, just to get that extra performance feel. But if you're looking for a board to put extra foam in, for either ease of use or just for your ability level, this would be a good one because it's not going to be a huge negative step against you. Some other boards that are a little bit more extreme in their shape or thick in the rail, like you don't want to go supersize them because they end up working against you. This is a board that still works with you, even at a generous size volume. So I think that's a really good thing to know. With the fin setup, these boards all come tri-fin, and you can use them either as a twin plus a trailer. You can use them as a straight twin, or you can use them as a thruster. I use the twin plus trailer and the twin here in Cape Hatteras a lot in the shorter section beach break, just for get a lot more pivot out of the board. I use that as well down in El Salvador. But what I liked about the thruster in El Salvador is it just gave you more drive off the tail, like out of the apex of the turns, and just gave you the ability to create a lot more speed through every part of the turn, not just the part where the twin fin would make it. So this ended up being, these are Black Sticks F8s, and I ended up liking these the best for that point break wave. I mean, it just fell in love with this board, and it did a really great job. And I'll tell you what, the magic session on this board was our very, very last session down there. We woke up, paddled out at 4:45 in the morning, pitch black, and people were so surfed out from the swell. We had the whole place to ourselves, waist to chest high, oil, like 2 knots, 3 knots offshore wind, and breaking for like 300 yards on every wave. And it was just me and 2 of my friends. And it was perfection, like at that size. There wasn't like a drop of water out of place. And this is how I was riding the board for that session. And I'll tell you what, to have a wave like that to yourself, like 3 people that you know, for 3 hours, and then take the last one into the beach, take a shower, and just get on the bus back to the airport, that was insane. So super, super fun. Great board, the Pina Colada, little high-performance fish style board, and great for small waves, but I mean, you could ride it in better waves, like the Chest Plus sets that came through on any of the sessions that I was riding it still held in great. Like there was a few waves that were shoulder high, maybe head high on the takeoff. Still held together great and did a great job. Chilli does a killer job, I think, on their coloring on their board. They've got a lot of unique sprays. If you're interested in adding color to your board, we do custom orders with Chilli, and you can always go. They have a cool Instagram that focuses just on their different sprays, and they each have a description number, and that's a good place to go just to get different ideas if you're doing a custom order with Chilli, because it's just a cool way to kind of represent the colors, and they've got their own kind of style with the colors, and I think they do a good job on it. The glass job on this board, just like all the Chillis, is really well put together. It's got a nice weight to it. It's not super heavy, yet the glass holds up. So even if you do get like big denting under your feet, like everything just doesn't start cracking and spidering out like on a lot of glass jobs that aren't as good as this. So whether the board's brand new on the rack, you're checking it out, or whether you've surfed it a ton like this one, it just holds together well. It's the Pina Colada. They're the high-performance fish style, all-around fun shape in the Chilli lineup. Great board. You can, again, like I said, you could ride it with a little bit extra volume if you want, and it's not going to be a negative characteristic to the board, but just a great all-around board. Super fun to surf, and I had a blast. I was stoked I took it down there. If you have any more questions on the Pina Colada, give us a call at the shop, 252-987-6000, or look us up online, realwatersports.com/surfing. Thanks for tuning in.